expand on a couple of points to expand on what Ryan says. In the area of media buys, when you're talking about broadcast media, radio and TV, I don't know if cable TV has the same rules, but they have to, within 60 days of the election, provide you with what is called the lowest unit price. If you're a candidate, not if you're a county organization, a state organization, but if you are a candidate who's going to be on the ballot, they have to give you the same lowest minimum rate that they give to their lowest minimum rate advertiser during the rest of the year, and they have to do that for every candidate. Therefore, you might see restrictions on how much time you can buy. Some of the radio stations around here will allow you to buy no more than 1 spot per hour because it's only $5 a spot or $10 a spot. Same thing with television, broadcast media. They have to provide you with whatever their lowest unit rate is. Their sales manager should know what those rates are about 90 days before the election. So if you want to start your budgeting at that point in time, and if you know you want to run spots on WOWO in Fort Wayne or on WXNT here or whatever the radio stations are up in South Bend or Northern Indiana, call the sales managers, maybe even in like February, if you want to, even though you're not going to be on the ballot for the primary, you still, if you're a declared candidate, you're still entitled to those rates, and you could run as a candidate, as Mike Pohl did, I believe, during the Secretary of State's campaign during the primary season. Hey, remember me come November. I won't be on your primary ballot because we don't participate in the primary system, but I'm going to be the Libertarian Party candidate for Secretary of State or for State House District, whatever it is. And you should, and they have to give you those lowest unit rates at that point in time.
That's for the primary as well, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even though you're not going to appear on the primary ballot, you're a declared candidate on the ballot, they have to give you those rates.
All right.
That's for print media, or not for print media, that's pretty much open market as far as I know. But for broadcast media, I don't know if cable TV has to do the same thing, but their rates are relatively inexpensive anyway around here. Usually, when the primary radio station that you can do your spots at least around here, they'll let you go in and produce your spot for free, or for a minimal amount of money. And then they'll give you a disc or an electronic file now, I guess, to take with you. If you're going to use it on other media, they're probably going to charge you some kind of production fee for it. It's not very expensive to produce radio spots. It ought not be very expensive to produce relatively simple television spots. It can be exorbitantly expensive if you're a Republican or Democrat, but we've got enough technological people around the Libertarian Party of Indiana that we should be able to produce television spots pretty inexpensively. And then also the cable TV channels, usually if you're going to be putting spots on their internal stuff locally, usually they'll let you go in and just and tape a simple spot of you sitting in front of a blank screen for free, or again for minimal amounts of money. Jim?
I was just going to offer the suggestion on volunteers. You talked about it in polling locations. That was my biggest push for volunteers was that polling data. And I know, especially in this group, it's probably very foreign to think that people go up to the polls not knowing who they're going to vote for. Does anyone else think that's kind of weird?
Yeah.
I had to see the numbers. There's a lot of people that go up and have no idea who they're voting for. They don't even know what's on the ballot, especially during the presidential races. They know that Barack Obama was on the ballot, and that was about it. And if you have people out, even if they don't work the whole day, out at the big rushes in the morning and the evening.
And if you're going to have volunteers working the polls, keep track of where they are, and if they're going to be there around lunchtime, make sure you take them something to eat, or have a volunteer run around to the polling places, take something to eat. I usually advise my candidates to spend their time at their primary polling place where they vote, or maybe at most 2 or 3 more around their district during the course of the day. It's not bad to have film of the candidate delivering lunches to volunteers. That's a good thing. If you're running a high-profile campaign and the media is conveying attention to you, make sure they know what your schedule is for election day. They might end up showing you on the menu news, and that might get you a few more votes.
They showed Sean when he went in to vote.
Yeah.
And they came out and filmed him doing that.
Anything else for Ryan about the final days of the campaign? The other thing that Ryan forgot to mention, and everybody else, is the election night party. And that's probably the most important thing you could do, because it gets you media attention, It gets
I
you.
did.
Yeah, you did.
Did you mention it?
Yeah.
I must have been asleep. It's been a long day. But yeah, the election night party, after the polls close at 6 o'clock in Indiana, they can start serving liquor again. Your volunteers will have a place to go and listen to the vote totals with you, to have a celebration if you do well, to start doing a kind of post-mortem on the campaign. What did we do wrong? What could we do better next time? And just kind of developing an esprit de corps. Because in places where we have not run candidates in the past, or a lot of candidates, it really helps develop a core to move forward. I know in Allen County, they had not run candidates for a long time up there, and a couple years ago during the municipal elections, they ran almost a full slate of candidates for Fort Wayne City Council. And they have kept most of that group together, and they're moving forward into the election campaign in leadership positions in the Allen County Party. So make sure you don't ignore your volunteers and have a good party for them when that day is over. And then you thank the Lord that the election campaign is over, spend the next week closing everything up, and then remember that the next election campaign starts on December 1st. Ryan, thank you very much. It falls to me to kind of do the wrap up, and I hope that everybody who has come today has gotten something out of it. Most people stayed pretty alert. I only saw a couple people nodding off from time to time, as we were wont to do on a long day ordeal like this. I want to especially thank all of our speakers and presenters. As I said initially at the beginning of the conference, we've got a lot of experience in this room. A lot of people have done a lot of things on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Indiana and the local county parties over the past several years. Historically, I came into the party in about '98, and at that point in time, our candidate for mayor of Indianapolis was excluded from several of the debates that year. He was included in a couple, but he was also excluded from one, most notably at the Indianapolis Press Club. Within 4 years of that, one of our guys was the president of the Indianapolis Press Club. Now, of course, he drove it into the ground and doesn't exist anymore, but that's a different story. But the Libertarian Party in Indiana has an impact on political process and discussion in the state, to the point where the Indiana Debate Commission, when formed, part of their agreement is that when there's a Libertarian Party candidate in the statewide race, that candidate will be included in the debate when it happens. That might not seem a lot to us because we're kind of used to it, but in many other states, the Libertarian Party candidate is either excluded or has to fight tooth and nail to get involved in the debates. That's why it's important that if the League of Women Voters or the Kiwanis Club or somebody schedules a debate for your local district, make sure you show up. Dress professionally. Take a look at the how to dress and how not to dress sheets over there that are in your packet. Have a coherent message that you're going to pass on to people. Don't always be negative. Don't always say the government's too big. We need to do something about how big it is. Make sure people know the advantages of a smaller government, of a less expensive government, because that's honestly what we're all about. Again, I want to thank you for coming out. People want to stick around and kind of do a post-mortem afterwards, a discussion. I think we probably need to be out of here at 4:35 o'clock at the latest, but we certainly appreciate your time. Look for yourselves on the internet sometime in the next month or two whenever they get it up and running. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know when that's going to happen. The other thing that we want to do is, as you decide what you're going to run for, as you start filing your exploratory campaigns, and my hope as state chair is that most of you decide to run for state rep or state senate, we would like to have a couple more meetings and conferences of all those candidates later on, midwinter, early spring, so that we can come up with a coherent platform, not necessarily a platform, but a coherent approach to what our candidates are going to run on. We, of course, can't dictate what our candidates are going to run on because we're not Republicans and Democrats, but we can give you an idea of what we anticipate the major issues to be in the next legislative session. By the time the primary rolls around, we'll know what they've screwed up this time and how badly the state's going to be going down the tubes, since they kind of misestimated by $254 million the current budget year, what the revenue is going to be today. God knows what's going to happen in the future. But those are the kinds of things that are going to be, as I said earlier, a target-rich environment. Our candidates are going to have a lot to run on, and we need to put together a coherent message that hopefully most of our candidates will be able to coordinate with our Secretary of State candidate and present a unified message to the voters in Indiana that the Libertarian Party is here, and we need to have them vote for us because we present a valid alternative to the old parties. Thanks a lot for your time. Nice meeting you guys, and we'll see you again at the Libertarian Party event in the future. Take care.